The BTS fandom was shaken to its core when news broke of a mysterious and deeply disturbing incident at Jungkook's private residence. But what made this event even more alarming was the unexpected involvement of Jin, the eldest member of BTS, whose reaction sent shockwaves through HYBE and the entire ARMY community. What started as a quiet evening turned into a full-blown emergency that no one saw coming. It began with a sudden power outage in Jungkook's neighborhood. A blackout that lasted only minutes but was enough to trigger a chain of events that would leave everyone reeling. Security systems failed. Surveillance cameras went dark. And in that brief window, something or someone entered Jungkook's home. HYBE's internal security team was immediately alerted, but by the time they arrived, the damage had already been done. Jin, who had been on a private call with Jungkook just moments before the blackout, sensed something was wrong. According to sources close to the group, Jin's voice was the last thing Jungkook heard before the line went dead. Jin reportedly tried to reconnect multiple times, but the calls failed. That's when panic set in. Jin, known for his calm demeanor and protective nature, didn't hesitate. He contacted RM and J-Hope, who were both in Seoul at the time, and urged them to head to Jungkook's house immediately. Meanwhile, Jungkook's mother, who had been staying with him for the week, was found in tears outside the residence. She had reportedly tried to enter his room but found the door locked from the inside. Her cries for help echoed through the hallway, drawing the attention of neighbors and eventually HYBE's emergency response team. When the door was finally forced open, Jungkook was found unconscious on the floor, his phone shattered beside him, and a trail of broken glass leading from the window. Jin arrived moments later, visibly shaken. Witnesses say he pushed past security and dropped to his knees beside Jungkook, calling his name over and over. It was a side of Jin the public rarely sees. Raw, emotional, and desperate. RM and J-Hope followed shortly after, helping Jin stabilize Jungkook while paramedics rushed in. The scene was chaotic, with flashing lights, sirens, and HYBE executives scrambling to contain the situation. HYBE released a brief statement confirming the incident but withheld specific details, citing privacy concerns and ongoing investigations. However, insiders revealed that the break-in was not random. Surveillance footage recovered from nearby homes showed a hooded figure lurking near Jungkook's property hours before the blackout. The timing, the precision, and the target all pointed to a premeditated act. Jimin, who was in Busan for a family event, reportedly broke down upon hearing the news. He immediately canceled his schedule and flew back to Seoul, joining V and Suga at the hospital where Jungkook was being treated. The members gathered in silence, their expressions grim, their bond stronger than ever. Jin, still in shock, refused to leave Jungkook's side, holding his hand and whispering words of comfort. The incident has raised serious questions about the safety protocols surrounding BTS members, especially given their global fame and the increasing threats they face. Fans flooded social media with messages of support, demanding answers and accountability. The hashtag #ProtectJungkook trended worldwide within minutes, followed by #StayStrongJin and #HYBEExplain. As the investigation deepens, HYBE has reportedly increased security measures across all BTS residences and studios. Private guards, reinforced surveillance, and emergency protocols have been deployed. But for Jin, the trauma of that night remains fresh. Sources say he hasn't spoken publicly since the incident, choosing instead to focus on Jungkook's recovery and the emotional toll it's taken on the group. This wasn't just a break-in. It was a violation of trust, a breach of safety, and a wake-up call for everyone involved. And at the center of it all stood Jin, no longer just the eldest young, but a brother fighting to protect his family. Stay tuned for part 2, where we uncover the aftermath, the emotional fallout, and the shocking revelations that followed Jungkook's recovery. The hours following Jungkook's hospitalization were filled with tension, grief, and a haunting silence that settled over the BTS members like a heavy fog. Jin, who had been the first to arrive at the scene, remained emotionally paralyzed. He didn't speak to the press. He didn't post on social media. He didn't even return to his own apartment. Instead, he stayed by Jungkook's side, refusing to leave the hospital room even for a moment. Doctors confirmed that Jungkook had suffered a severe shock, both physical and emotional. While no life-threatening injuries were found, the psychological impact of the break-in was undeniable. He had been alone, vulnerable, and targeted. And for Jin, that reality was unbearable. The guilt of not being able to protect his younger brother weighed heavily on him. Those close to Jin described him as withdrawn, sleepless, and visibly shaken. HYB, under immense pressure from fans and media, launched a full-scale investigation. Private detectives, cybersecurity experts, and law enforcement collaborated to trace the source of the breach. What they found was chilling. The intruder had bypassed multiple layers of security, including biometric locks and encrypted surveillance systems. It was a calculated move, suggesting insider knowledge or a highly skilled hacker. The implications were terrifying, not just for Jungkook, but for every BTS member. V, who had been filming a solo project in Jeju, flew back immediately. His arrival at the hospital was marked by a rare moment of vulnerability. He embraced Jin tightly, both of them breaking down in tears. Jimin, Suga, RM, and J-Hope joined them shortly after, forming a protective circle around Jungkook. The room was filled with quiet sobs, whispered reassurances, and the kind of brotherhood that transcends fame and fortune. Jin, despite his own emotional collapse, took on the role of silent guardian. He coordinated with HYB's crisis team, reviewed security footage, and even met with Jungkook's mother privately to offer comfort. Their conversation, though private, was described by insiders as deeply emotional. Jin reportedly apologized repeatedly, blaming himself for not sensing the danger sooner. Jungkook's mother, still shaken, held Jin's hands and told him, "You saved him. You were the first to act." As days passed, Jungkook began to recover. He opened his eyes, recognized his members, and even managed a faint smile when Jin cracked a quiet joke. That moment was a turning point, not just for Jungkook's healing, but for Jin's own emotional release. He finally allowed himself to cry, not out of fear, but out of relief. The bond between them, already strong, had been forged anew in the fire of crisis. HYB announced a temporary suspension of all BTS solo and group activities. The members needed time to heal, to regroup, and to process what had happened. Fans responded with overwhelming support, flooding social media with messages of love, encouragement, and solidarity. The hashtags #JinStrong, #JungkookSafe, and #BTSForever dominated global trends for days. Behind the scenes, Jin began working with HYB's security division to implement new protocols. He insisted on personal involvement, reviewing every detail, every plan, every